Hey there. I wanted to speak with you on the topic of calmness today. And calmness is a great masculine trait, I believe. And it's something very hard to preserve those days because of the dynamic of the modern way of living. And yeah, just the day to day life makes it difficult for us to keep our calmness. And I think it's something very much needed if you are to consider yourself a masculine man, a man that cannot keep his calm and loses his cool is definitely someone that is considered weak on my book. And I have experience with fight sports, so you definitely don't want to rely on that hot-headed guy that cannot remain calm and cannot keep his cool under pressure and under some difficult situations. Because yeah, he when you don't keep your cool, you are not able to think, and when you are not able to think, you throw everything outside of that door, and yeah, only animosity is the only thing left. And I think our power as human beings is the ability of us to think clearly and to act logically. And that's something that remains true in both, extreme and non-extreme situations. And it's even like that with dogs. When you see those small dogs that are always barking because they're scared around big dogs, the big dogs in their presence, it's like they're not seeing them at all. It's like they're ignoring them. They're they're not acknowledging the existence of the smaller dog that barks around them. But if the smaller dog is to continue acting aggressive and tries to assault the bigger dog, it will be over for the smaller dog in a matter of seconds, and the big dog knows that. And that's why it doesn't find the need to act tough like the smaller dog does. Because the smaller dogs want to portray the image of him being a big dog when he's not. And the big dog doesn't need that, so he's not acting in that way. And it's like that with the human kingdom as well. You don't need to portray that like tough image in order to be actually tough. The most dangerous guy is the quietest guy in the room, the calmest guy. And that applies to, like I mentioned, non-extreme situations. Like you don't need to handle any conflicts, but just for day-to-day life, life is so much better when you're not taking things seriously and you're level-headed and you don't you don't get into that situation of losing your calm and having that big temper that you couldn't control and master. That's when conflicts start to arise with close friends, with family, with your girlfriend. That's why people get into some, you know, it's it's definitely not something that we need yet. The modern way of living is something that makes us act that way. And I found for myself, I'm actively working on my calmness. So while doing that, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But I found out that the best way to start, you know, keeping your composure, it's funny because as a fighter, I'm a kickboxing champion, and calmness is what helped me become a kickboxing champion. If it wasn't my calmness in keeping my composure under pressure, I wouldn't be a champion. No way. But yet, in real life, so to speak, day-to-day life, when you have a girlfriend and you start to get into some what's the word for it? I lost the word, but you start to get into conflicts because you cannot keep your cool, and that's something that I struggle with. I cannot keep my cool in day-to-day life communication between human beings, and I'm kind of strange in that sense because I tend to like being alone and spending a lot of time on my own. I was like that from a child. It's not something new that happened. It is just the way I am, and I found out that the best way to work on your calmness is to actually have your standards right in place and knowing what you like and what you dislike. And when there is something that you don't like, for example, you're not happy with your job, you get angry because of the pressure of your job, and let's get real, that's like 90% of the reason why we get to have pressure in our lives is because we're spending like almost all of our day working for a job that it just applies pressure on us and makes us tense, and this is what disrupts our calmness. So if you're in that situation in which the job is causing your lack of calmness, then just work on that. Just eliminate the things that are agitating you. For example, if you have conflicts with some of your colleagues, just don't try to not communicate with them as much, or try to stay away from them, or just don't get into that situation. Stay away. It's like that with some former friends that I had. They were like friends that just didn't, I don't know, just didn't align with my perspectives for life at that point of time. We didn't have things in common, and when you're in that situation, instead of communicating with that person and seeing each other like almost every day, well, it's a good idea to just stay away from him and just allow him to move forward with his life while you're doing the same with your own life, and I don't see anything wrong in that. Yeah, just I think the key here is to stay away from the things that don't make you happy and make you agitated. See you in the next one.